Hello and welcome. I'm Kyla Roma and I help service-based business owners and course creators attract more of their dream customers and earn more without working harder and harder and harder. Today we are going to talk about how to create magnetic content that passes the unicorn test. Now, I made this up. It's a framework for seeing the content that you're creating online a little bit differently so that you can get better results with it. I've been self-employed for 10 years and I love social media. I love talking about how I help people. But in my first business, even I struggled with seeing that almost all of my content was missing one of the critical elements that makes our work interesting, shareable, and attracts more of our ideal customers. So without this, your marketing results are going to fall flat. It's going to make it really hard for you to get traction, and it's going to feed into that work more, worry more, stress more cycle that we want to break out of. So I would love to help you solve this like I've been able to solve it in my business. If you're like most empathetic service-based business owners or course creators, then you want to help more people. You want to find more of your ideal customers who, if you could just clone them and work with them again and again and again, life would be so much easier. And then you also need to find more of those people. You need to find more customers. So take a second and think, like, how do you think most people try to solve this situation? Well, from my experience with my customers, most people try teaching more and more and more to give people a taste of what they do and bring more of those potential customers through the door. So for example, if you are a web designer, the way that this might look would be creating maybe actionable content that you could post to social media. Maybe you end up working with a copywriter to try to make sure that your content is really on track. It's really on par. Maybe you look at how you can adapt that content and put it out in different formats, different places, and you end up spending a huge amount of time and energy in this type of content and getting the word out there around it. And that's like the kind of the best case scenario for all of us. That's kind of what we're all trying to live up to, right? Most of us aren't doing all of that because it just takes a lot of energy. So the problem is that even for the people who are doing that, I'm sure that you've seen this happening, the people who are doing marketing really well, the problem is that for most of them, that actually doesn't get them great results. And I'd love to talk about why and how you can make sure that the work that you do is really getting you those results that you want, magnetically attracting those dream customers to you. So it comes down to a really key piece is that most service-based business owners and course creators are, we're in this work because we are helpers and we are teachers. The problem is that teaching is really different than marketing. And that is a really crucial thing that most of us, I think we take for granted. We feel like if we just share our opinion, if we just share our perspective, if we just teach, which are amazing things to do, then people are going to come to us. And the difficulty is that there is a little bit more going on there. And if you can actually fine tune that process, make sure that you do things slightly differently, you can make sure that you aren't just filling the content calendar, filling your social media calendar because you're trying to check a box off of your to-do list. You're doing that in a way that is really strategic and it's going to attract the right type of people to you. Because, the thing is that most of us aren't doing that, right? Because let's be real, if we didn't have to create all this content, most of us wouldn't do it. So we rush through it and we just take a kind of chip off a piece of what we do for a living and we offer it for free and hope that it turns into customers because that's what it looks like everybody else is doing, right? So the people who are doing this successfully, they're actually doing it a little bit differently. I'm going to dive into that right now. So let's talk about what should you do instead. So this isn't about holding back. This isn't about not helping people because we don't want to do that. We want to be useful. We want to create content though that passes the unicorn test. So the unicorn test is content that is magnetic. It is deeply helpful to your ideal customers. And crucially, it is profitable for us as a business owner. We know that it ties right back to our offers. So content that passes the unicorn test does three things. First of all, it has a specific goal. So every piece of content has a goal. Is maybe this post on Instagram, maybe that's going to increase the way that people feel like they know, like, and trust us. Maybe a piece of content is going to address a question or an objection that someone has that is keeping them from buying and from feeling sure that you can really help them. So first of all, your content, each piece has a specific goal. Second, each piece addresses a key problem that your offer also solves. So you should be solving problems that are completely deeply related to the actual problems that your offer solves. So for example, if you teach a course about how to bake pies, maybe one of the things you could do would be talking about some of the problems people would encounter while they're doing that. Looking for maybe how to find out which is the best baking sheet and how to measure liquids versus solids. The third piece is that the piece of content shares the struggle. So this is going to sound a little counterintuitive, but you want to share how you haven't always been perfect at the thing that you are sharing. And that's because if you are just sharing how great you are and how perfectly you do things, even though we know that that's not the case, we know there's no more nuance than that, that's kind of boring. It's kind of boring. But more importantly, people who don't know you, they aren't going to know then how you can help them out of the hole that they've dug themselves into, right? If you are just naturally great at this, then you actually can't teach probably very well because you haven't ever had to overcome the same problems that they have. This is about being relatable and really helping your ideal customers picture success in the thing that you are doing. So, for example, you want to share a corner of where you've struggled and then how you've overcome it. I think sometimes people feel like, oh, this is going to make me look weak or it's going to make me look like less professional. And it's not. It's just going to make your content more relatable and something that people can feel like they can really believe. And that belief in themselves, that they see that you've had problems and that you've overcome them, that will help them to feel belief in themselves. And that is one of the most crucial things in helping people to see that they can actually solve the problem that they have. So I want you to look at one place that you're showing up online, like maybe that is Instagram, maybe it is your newsletter, and I want you to think about, or actually not think about them, go look at the last 3 pieces of content that you created. Ask yourself, how many of them have one specific goal, address a key problem that your offer also solves, and then shares the struggle? So go take a look at that. And then I want to know, are you a unicorn or do you have some work to do? Today, we covered that unicorn test for profitable magnetic marketing, how empathetic business owners usually build momentum and grow, and why there is a fatal flaw in that approach. And then what the unicorn test is and how it lets you course correct that. And finally, how to apply it to your marketing so that you can see how on track your marketing is and how that means it's how powerfully it is working to attract your ideal customers.